All right. So I found this to be of high entertainment value. So I covered this a couple days ago. Liz Cheney got owned, right? So okay, 8 in 10 Republicans who've heard of Cheney's removal agree. Now again, real quick, I like now that I spent the last like 30 minutes talking about how government doesn't work for us, right? The way that the government is designed in the United States of America right now, right now, I'm not talking about any grandiose origin stories. I'm talking about right now. The designation of the role of the government in the United States of America in the year 2021 right now is you've got one party that is a all-out, brazen and proud terrorist organization. What we have is the Nazi equivalent, right? I need you to understand, right? As someone who covered the January 6th riot in full, live streamed it, now that stream has been removed by YouTube because they wanted to suppress and censor history, and they don't want people to know what happened on January 6th. I don't know why YouTube doesn't want people to know, but they really don't want people to know what happened on January 6th. And there is a widespread cover-up of what happened on January 6th. Now, think about this. The President of the United States of America incited his supporters to desire to hang and murder their own vice president of their own party because their own vice president did not illegally destroy the government in order to install Trump as a dictator. Now, no, that is not a new Olympus Has Fallen sequel. That is not like a fucking big budget action movie. That is real life. That's what actually happened. That's what actually fucking happened. Right? And so the extension, right, the logical through line of the January 6th attack to Liz Cheney being removed, right? Those are like an extension of the party's Nazi-style adjacent terroristic impulses, right? The same people that wanted to overthrow the United States government and reinstitute monarchy, those same people support Liz Cheney being removed from her leadership position. And I need to be very clear that this is not, fuck Liz Cheney. All my homies hate Liz Cheney. She is horrible. Right? Now, so that needs to be explicit, but let me read this here. A majority of Republicans, 8 in 10 is one hell of a majority, who have followed the developments that led to Representative Liz Cheney, RYO, being ousted from her leadership role within the House GOP agree with the decision, according to a new survey. The CBS News YouGov poll found 80% of Republicans who've heard of her removal indicated Cheney deserved it, describing her as off-message, unsupportive of Mr. Trump, by the way, who lost the previous election. And she's wrong about the 2020 presidential election. 80% of Republicans think that Donald Trump is the winner of the presidential election of 2020, which is clearly wrong, just for the sake of discretionary. Joe Biden won the election of 2020. Joe Biden is the legitimate elected president, and he's the legitimately, he holds the office. Donald Trump is not the president. He lost. He's a loser. He failed. He's gonzo. He's not in the presidency anymore. He will not be in the presidency until he maybe wins in the 2024 election, right? Which is possible. But as far as the 2020 election is concerned, he lost. Now, you can also go in to say he lost the 2016 election, but, we have the popular vote electoral system, which, again, is another one of those antiquated rules that just, allow terrorists to take control of government. But that's a whole different story, right? But I need you to understand. January 6th has been covered up. It's been successfully covered up, right? The news media doesn't really talk about it anymore. Democrats and Republicans are back to business as usual. No one talks about it. 80% of one of the two parties think that they genuinely want to overthrow democracy in favor of monarchy. 80% of 50%. Now again, I'm not talking about population here. 80% of 50% of the parties that have political power. Because we're not talking about really what that amounts to is 15 to 20% of the population. What that really amounts to, right, is about 15 to 20% of the population. That's almost nothing. But when it comes to political power, they have got 80% of 50% of the political power, right? And so I need you to understand, we have a terrorist organization that is not planning in secret. They're not on, encrypted channels, ready to strike. They're telegraphing all of their moves. How come I knew that Donald Trump was going to declare victory on election night? How did I know that? How did I know that Donald Trump was going to do some bullshit on January 6th? How did I know, hey, I'm going to stream all day because something's going to happen today? How did I know that? I knew that because they telegraphed all of their moves. Every single move from every single moment was easily telegraphed. Donald Trump saying that he never committed to a peaceful transition of power, him promoting groups like the Proud Boys, right? It was obvious he was never going to accept that he lost the election. It was clear. Anyone with a brain who paid attention could tell you he would have not accepted the results of the election. Everyone knew that. So how come everyone let him do that? How come people let him do this mass delusion? How come people let him get away with inciting a riot at the Capitol, which led to his own supporters dying? How come people let him do that? Well, the only answer is they agree with it. The people that let him do that agree with it in one way or another. Nancy Pelosi agrees with it. Chuck Schumer agrees with it. Joe Biden agrees with it. They all don't mind that there's a terrorist organization that has taken control of the United States government and has control of key chambers. They don't mind. In fact, they like it. They prefer having terrorists in government. That is their preference. Why? Because they're enablers of terrorism. They're enablers of fascism. That's what they are. That's the Democratic Party. When you've got one party and 80% of that one party agrees that they want to institute monarchy in favor of democracy, and the other party is like, cool, bud. The other party is like, that sounds awesome. 14th Amendment, Section 3, clearly states, those who have engaged in insurrection against the United States they are barred permanently for the rest of their lives from ever holding office, either federally or in any state legislative position. 14th Amendment, Section 3. It's in the Constitution. How many members of Congress signed on to that? About 50. Now, if you were to have utilized the 14th Amendment, specifically the third section, which is my favorite section, to its fullest potential, right, all but like maybe 12 Republicans would have been expelled from Congress. And that's not even going into what would have happened in state legislatures. Right? You would have had a complete overturn in like Pennsylvania's state legislature. Every red state if the Democrats were serious about power, they had a cheat code that could have given them one-party control of the government. They had a cheat code. It was laid out in the Constitution. 14th Amendment, Section 3. They chose not to use it because they're afraid of power. They're afraid of doing what's right. Even when the options are right there, even when the cheat codes are fully accessible, they're still afraid of doing what's right. And now, 5 months later, we have 80% of one half of political parties in the United States who want to overthrow democracy. And so I just wanted to talk about that because that's some fucked up bullshit. And so I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I was on top of the January 6th stuff. Like when that happened, I did like fucking 2 shows a day for like a week and a half. Right? I was doing like 4 to 5 hours of content a day, uncovering how this happened, who are the people responsible, why it happened, what do we need to do. Almost in every single one of those videos I covered of the week of January 6th, I was saying 14th Amendment, Section 3, 14th Amendment, Section 3. Cori Bush started doing that, and I think she only had about 50 people sign on to it. And again, the Democrats could have declared the party as terrorist. They could have gotten rid of like 80 to 90% of the party, but they chose not to. That was a conscious decision that they made, and that's going to affect the course of history. They had if you look back right on history, look back at the Civil War, right? We banned how did the 14th Amendment start? How did that get, signed into the Constitution, right? How? Remind me. Right, we fought a war because people engaged in insurrection against the United States. We fought a war because people in power used their power to lead an insurrection. And so once those people were banned from government and we had the radical Republican government, not radical enough, but you know what I mean, to have a distinction from the modern Republican Party, we had the radical Republicans of Reconstruction say, let's have a 14th Amendment. So not only can this never happen again, civil war, but we can prevent what happened, like, and how the Civil War gained more steam, right? We had elected officials who wanted to engage in insurrection. That was why insurrection was engaged in, because you had elected officials in about half the states at the time that wanted to overthrow democracy. They wanted to overthrow any form of government that they had. They engaged in insurrection. So what they did after that was, when they had the radical Republican government, was they decided to have the 14th Amendment that says that if someone does engage in insurrection, that they should be banned from office and from ever holding office in the future. The key part. So that they can't engage in insurrection, lose, and then come back later with a different strategy. And that's exactly what they failed to do in January 6th. The 14th Amendment, if you look at the through line of history, if you look at all the bits and pieces, the 14th Amendment, Section 3, had one, as of this current moment in time, has had one, like, historical example of the most possible prime reason that it would exist. Right? January 6th, 2021. That is you cannot think of another event in American history since the 14th Amendment was ratified where the 14th Amendment, Section 3 specifically, would be more useful. Right? People, almost 200 years ago, saw what happened when you have elected officials engage in insurrection, and they said, we don't want this to happen again. And we have their warnings. Their warnings have been documented, and we have done nothing. We took their warnings and we said, fuck that shit. And it's incredible. It's incredible. What has happened in 2021 so far? Incredible. Breaking. Senator Ossoff, cute. Oh my God. Leads 29 senators urging immediate ceasefire in the Middle East. That's amazing, actually. 29 senators. That's more than I expected. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about Republicans. Fuck Republicans. If you're a Republican, fuck you. And if you're a Democrat, also probably fuck you. But I'm not talking about elected officials. I'm not talking about, like, regular voters. Like, if you identify as a Democrat or Republican and you're not an elected official, Jesus fucking Christ, man. Like, you need to get, like, some form of, like, self-identity. Maybe find a hobby. Maybe find, like, a girlfriend or something. Because, Jesus Christ. Imagine saying this. I'm a Republican. Now imagine this. I'm a Democrat. What? Like, people actually say that and they're not elected officials. Like, what? You're a human being, first and foremost. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, I just wanted to have that little thing. Laughing my ass off. Oh my God. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed today's episode. I'm going to wrap it up here. So again, I don't know. I say a lot. I don't know. Like, what the fuck? Does anyone have any questions, comments, or concerns? Does anyone have any grievances that they wish to express? Does anyone wish to peacefully assemble?